തിരകളിലേറി മലയാളത്തിൻ മൊഴിയൊഴുകും വഴിയും ഒഴുകാമൊലിയായി തിരകളിലേറി മലയാളത്തിൻ മൊഴിയൊഴുകും വഴി പടരാം പവിഴക്കലയും താണ്ടി നാദരാഗമായി Radio Rang, color your life. ഒഴുകാമൊലിയായി തിരകളിലേറി മലയാളത്തിൻ മൊഴിയൊഴുകും വഴിയും ഒഴുകാമൊലിയായി തിരകളിലേറി മലയാളത്തിൻ മൊഴിയൊഴുകും വഴി പടരാം പവിഴക്കലയും താണ്ടി നാദരാഗമായി Radio Rang, color your life.
Hello and good evening everyone. I am Prajisha Anand and I welcome each one of you who are listening to the Radio Rang Facebook page, Unigrade presentation, Unigrade Center away from campus. And today I am very fortunate and I am honored to introduce in front of you to such a speaker, a well-known personality on this island. She is the principal of the Indian School Rifa campus and a specialist in kindergarten and primary education. She is a gold medalist in psychology and done her MBA in education management. As a principal of one of the largest schools, she has always taken the initiative to lead from the front. She is soft-spoken and communicates with ease with everyone. She is mesmerized many of them by her beautiful way of talking in English, and it has its class by her own. Ladies and gentlemen, let me take this opportunity to welcome Madam Pamela Xavier. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, Prajisha, and thank you for that wonderful introduction.
My pleasure. How are you?
Very well, my dear. What about you?
Excellent, ma'am. I'm so honored to be seated in front of you and actually taking up this kind of a small gesture, and I'm so thankful to Radio Rang for this beautiful opportunity.
Likewise, Prajisha. I think the roles are different today.
Right? Ma'am, as everybody knows, it's almost 6 to 7 months. We all are sailing in the same boat in this pandemic situation. To start with, what do you have to say to the listeners who are listening out there? How to manage and how to go ahead, and what exactly do you feel in past 6 to 7 months of this journey?
Yeah, Prajisha, us being teachers, we always look at everything from the point of view of learning.
Right.
So, what I think is we need to think a little deep. Life is a great teacher, is a guru of all gurus. And what does that make us? It makes us lifelong learners. And this pandemic that we've been through, what has it taught us is something that we need to introspect. Yes, there have been many disappointments, probably, uncertainty of the future, or, maybe financial uncertainty, or it could be the health which is at stake. So very many things that can cause stress. But I think, we can deal with this by choosing to look at the light at the end of the tunnel. Mm-hmm. It's this huge cloud over us. How about looking at the silver lining in the cloud? And what I think, what we've learned, through this so many months that have gone by, is there's always a plan B for everything. We were focusing so much on the usual way of going about things. There was a set format, and now life has taught us that you need not do it the other way. And same goes for education. It's wonderful that we've been able to continue with our education online. I think all of us as stakeholders of education should consider it a blessing that our children are able to still continue it with plan B or plan C or whatever it may be. And going forward, I think, all the stakeholders of education, be it parents, teachers, students, we all need to have that understanding deep within us that we are all in this situation and all in the same boat, rather the whole world is in the same boat. So let's cooperate with each other, let's understand each other, let's have that empathy, teachers to understand what parents are going through, parents to be more understanding of what teachers are going through, and I think in that way the children would excel and do very well.
Beautiful, ma'am. That part of sentence where you told that, the teachers should understand what parents are going through, and parents, it's like a kind of mutual understanding.
Absolutely.
Where we can actually upbring our children. Going ahead, ma'am, as a principal of one of the largest schools in Bahrain, how was the journey so far as a principal for you?
Okay, that's a tough one and an easy one.
No, because as a teacher of Indian school, you're the one whom I always admire and adore you. As I said in the introduction, your mesmerizing style of speaking, your commendable language and English and everything. So just want to know, what was the journey all about? How is it?
It's been smooth and challenging. Smooth because the school that we all love and work for, the Indian school, is a school with 70 years of history. So obviously I've joined a place that has a well-oiled machinery, as so as to speak, and things are very much in place. So that makes things a lot easy when, things are formatted in such a way, and it's literally on auto. Things just move, and I do believe the school has a special blessing, I somehow feel it from, how things just move. That's a miracle in itself. And also, all the stakeholders are extremely cooperative, which makes it a joy to work. There's, wonderful support from the management, wonderful, dedicated, enthusiastic team. They call themselves the vibrant team Rifa. I have to mention that, others I won't get spared. They just make it so much, so much easier. So that's wonderful to have with you, those broad shoulders to rely on, and the support of the parents always. And what about our little ones? I mean, they're just the little darlings who you look forward to coming to school every day. But the challenge is always there when you have so very many children, below the age of 10 under your care, and then safety and security of students, it takes precedence over everything. So teachers are, all the time literally on their toes till the child reaches home safely in the normal setup. So that's been the journey so far.
When you say this, actually, as a vibrant Rifa team, we got the opportunity, or we normally get the opportunity only twice or thrice in a year, whether it is sports day, or it can be like annual day program or staff club program or academic day program. And we of course find the difference of those ladies, I won't say ladies, it's girls actually, a kind of crowd which you have nurtured all these years, and the way they perform.
Yes.
So talking about the same education system where the tiny tots are there, and and more than home, or I will say equivalent at home, they are in your hands, safe hands of teachers.
Yeah.
So is there anything called as a perfect education system, ma'am, according to you?
See, an education system, I think that word perfect would be a variable, and with time it would keep changing because things are so fast paced these days. What an education system should do is prepare a child to face life, to face reality. We want to develop students for the 21st century and make them, imbibe all those skills of being communicators and collaborators and be able to make their own decisions and problem solving. So our system needs to keep evolving all the time in order to meet these needs, because we don't know what the future has in store. And how this can be achieved is our teachers. Our teachers need to, they're always willing to learn and change and adapt according to the learner's needs and prepare them for tomorrow.
How do you actually, ma'am, as a teacher, and have you seen your colleagues, your teachers, the subordinates, those tiny tots who are with bundle of energy, Because as a teacher of the senior section itself, we find that to manage those teenagers, it's really a tough job, but we enjoy it. But these tiny tots who are in the class and they're just running around with so much a bundle of energy, how do you teachers actually manage them in the class? Then only we'll come to the next topic, that is online class, because managing children at home in front of that small frame, it's really challenging. So as teachers in the campus, how was the experience of your subordinates? How did they come and share with you?
Yeah, it's a huge package deal for them, you know. As I told you, we always talk about two things in all of our meetings: pastoral care of children and the academic progress. And here the pastoral care, safety, security takes precedence over everything else. And teachers are literally like second mothers, literally. And from the time when when the physical class was on, from the time that the teacher steps onto the bus, she's literally punched in over there, to see that children are comfortable, that, the attendance is taken, and so very many things, till they reach school and on campus at every nook, time, corner, to impart, the teaching, learning, whatever was planned for the day, and the safety of the children, and to ensure that they are happy. I think that would be the first thing that most teachers, spend a lot of time doing, is creating a rapport with the students. I think then 50% of your task becomes much easier. Yes. So yes, for them, pastoral care and the teaching, learning, these two things are intertwined, and they're multitasking all the time.
So in order to imbibe these qualities, what you said, what do you think is a core strength of a teacher and how it can be further developed?
First of all, I think, I think a teacher should have come into this profession by choice.
Of course, yes. Very true. Not by chance.
Yes, I think. But probably people who've come in by chance, afterwards, they develop themselves according to the expectations of the institution. They need to have that passion, to be a teacher. Unless you have that, I think other things would be a little tough. That would be the first thing. And yes, ever willing to learn, and as we spoke, how things are so, challenging, and they keep at a fast pace, they keep moving. So you have to be a lifelong learner, and you are very young when the kids are young. Teachers feel young too, so they should be ready to learn all the time and keep changing, their strategies, keep upgrading themselves so that they don't get obsolete, because children, we're preparing them for a future that both you and I don't know what is in store. Exactly. Yeah. And when it comes to the academic part, definitely they need to be the kind who will have, a strong subject knowledge and have various strategies up their sleeve, be creative enough so that they bring out the best in each child at whatever level the child is.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think we'll be having a caller right now. Let's check it out.
My question to Madam Pamela: how to bring the child to life lessons in an online classroom situation? Thank you.
Hello, Mr. Vipin. That was a very interesting question. I think, your child has never seen a school before. It's the first time the child is going to school. So as a parent, I think, you need to sit with your little one and have a heart-to-heart talk and explain to your child to be excited about learning. Like, this is the screen, Children all love technology, and I think that your child will teach us a thing or two about technology. They all love seeing videos and watching things on the mobile. So you need to explain to your child that this is the new format of how learning will take place, and this is your teacher, and all your friends are all online, that kind of, and don't underestimate your child, however young your child may be. So talking to your child, and also, creating a very conducive environment for learning, in the sense that, The child knows that, we mean business at this. This is a particular time for learning. We mean business at this time. A teacher will be there and she will be teaching you certain things. There will be certain things for you to do. So all in all, get them excited about the whole thing. There's nothing, hard and fast of how stringent things need to be, or, likewise. And I think the child should be fine.
Ma'am, I think there's the same kind of question which has come up from Lekha Karthikeyan. What she want to say is that what would be your advice to the parents who themselves are new to the system of schooling? In which ways can a parent support the child adapt to the new system?
Right. So, if parents are looking at it as a challenge, let's change this challenge into an opportunity.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's been time and time proven that the more a parent is engaged in the child's learning, the greater would be the learning spurt of the child. So I think, this is a blessing in a way that the school has come home, So imagine it's like you in a physical class, literally being present in that class and watching what your child is learning. The same thing's happening but online. So it's just a perspective and a mindset change, So look at it as an opportunity. That's what I would say, If you were told that if you engaged more and more in your child's learning, it would help your child. So it's an investment that you're making in your child's life.
Right.
So if you looked at it that way, then you would look at it positively and you will want to be more and more engaged.
Connecting to this point, ma'am, as we all know, the present generation or the tiny tots of today, or we call as a future generation, you will agree with me when I say, you'll be convinced that these students, these kids are more competitive and more eligible in every way. But when we see from the perspective of a tiny tot, how do you find, how challenging are these students of this particular grade who are under your shelter, your care?
Yes. These children too are exposed to a lot of knowledge,
Right.
Even as small as they are. So that's the challenging part, are they able to assimilate all the information? And definitely we need to control of what are the things they've been exposed to, That's one of the challenges. Another thing what I feel in this part of the world is the lack of physical activity. They need to release their pent up energy and, or do all sort of things that we did probably when we were growing up, but in this particular setting, that's a little bit lacking. So you find the children a little bit more restless or, seeking a lot of attention and things like that in school. Mm-hmm. So these are the challenges, main two challenges I think our children face.
And when we talk about the tiny tots inside the school, talking about the Rifa campus or any school where the small kids are going, we have so many play schools type within the school where children are actually given a space where they can work. Physically they can work, they can do so many activities. But right now, because of this online classes, they are just limited within that screen. So that energy which is actually building up
Yes.
inside, what do you suggest, ma'am? How can the parents or the teachers who are taking online classes can actually go ahead and utilize that energy and channelize it
Yeah.
in some useful activities, at home?
Right. See, at home, it could be that, it's there's something happening of not any proper scheduling. So that needs to be addressed, It's been way too long right now. And, I think some kind of a flexible schedule at home I would advise parents to have, where there is time allotted for learning, so the child knows, yes, I need to sit and I need to do, and we've kind of capsuled it in very child friendly sessions where it's not too much for the child, it's keeping in mind the attention span of the child, so there are not very many things for the child to do. In addition to that, the parent can slot out time for the child to play and exercise, or release the pent up energy. That needs to be done very much, I think, to have things in perspective. And being at home, a lot of home skills can be taught to the child,
Exactly.
be it girls or boys or whatever. So time for everything in a flexible manner, because probably in the home setup you may not be able to have a very rigid schedule. But yeah, children are very smart and they pick up these vibes, very quickly. So if we set some ground rules within the parameters, I think that would help. And teachers as well, I think they as well do a lot of warm-ups and a little bit of chatting with the students and all, in order to build a rapport and also to release the pent-up energy with small little warm-ups and things like that in between, so that focus can be on learning.
So as you said earlier, in this process of teaching the children online, both the teachers and the parents, they are in fact developing so many new qualities and creative things. They are becoming very innovative, because those things which I never thought of, which we never expected, all those things we are actually doing it on the screen and off the screen. I mean, for a teacher as well as for a parent.
Absolutely.
I think we have a speaker here online.
My child is studying in LKG, Indian School of Bahrain. My question to Madam Pamela is, online class is a challenge for the parents too. So what has to be the parents' role in this situation? Thank you so much.
Thank you for that question, and it's something quite what we discussed
right now. Yes.
Yeah, don't look at it as a challenge. Create and change every challenge into an opportunity. That would help us reduce our own stress levels. Because when we stress, it's our body's way of coping with a challenge. So how about looking at the silver lining? I just said that parent engagement. There's a lot of research done with that, and all our parents, especially Indians, I think we are very much engaged and involved in our child's learning. So we don't lack that at all. But if you were told that if you invest in the learning process of your child, it's going to really help your child. So definitely you will do everything possible to be with your child and to engage with your child. So look at it as an opportunity that's God-given, that your child is at home and learning from home, and you can be there beside your child to support your child. So I think you should take it as a blessing and support your child, involve in your child's learning positively.
I think all these questions are coming, and it's been accumulating on one particular point, that as a parent at home, because right now they are more responsible, because in case if they want to bring the child towards the screen, make them sit in front of the screen and tell them how to focus on the lessons what are taken by the teacher. A parent need to be more focused and more with balance, I think, with patience. So the question Mr. Badri is asking, it's almost the same. How can we channelize the kids regarding the extracurricular activities apart from the academics, whatever we are learning?
Okay, that's a very good question, because I think that's very, very important.
Very important.
I've been a music teacher too, so I totally support the all-round development of a child through various activities. So, given the restrictions, there is a restriction of having, children on campus. We are planning to, have in the very near future these kind of co-curricular activities online, so that our students have an all-round development. It could be something like handwriting, or it could be something like having a child sing a song, have various competitions, of course the parent has to be involved, the children are way too small, and have these kind of activities as well going in parallel. So it's not just the teaching learning, it's just not the academics part, and children they're very happy doing all these things. And most of our activities on campus have always been having all children participate. It doesn't matter if you have two left feet, you're still dancing on stage. So those kind of things is what we want to introduce and have our children take part in, and thus aiming for the all-round development of the child.
Talking about this, ma'am, what we have experienced or we have gone through as a teacher, there are many such issues coming up when any kind of project is given to a particular child, whether it's a kindergarten level or it can be 4th standard or 10th or most probably till 7th to 8th standard. What we see is supporting a student is different, but helping your child in getting the things done I mean literally the parents doing it. So any project, it can be like what you told, it's like an activity which is given, painting or clay modeling, or it can be any kind of innovative work. What do you think, what message can you give to the parents who just want the work to be done but doesn't give this child a chance to make mistakes? Because we were told by our parents, by our teachers, that through mistakes we learn.
Absolutely.
Make mistakes and come out of it. But sometimes it happens that parents want the work to be the perfect and they want no mistakes made by the children. So the helping kind or supporting what they're doing, what exactly you have to say about it?
Yeah, at this age, I think parents do get involved.
Yeah.
You know, they have to, because it needs to be monitored. And project work is best done in school, according to me, where children are collaborating, and in each one has their own role to do, their part to do according to their level that they are at. But in this particular situation, if we can aim at having certain projects done simultaneously, like for example, if we decide to have an experiment done, we could ask the children to have those certain things, which is safe of course, in front of their screens, and as the teacher is doing it, the child also with the assistance of the parent can perform whatever experiment and come to their own conclusions. Having said that, yes, project work, parents, I would request them to look at it as parent engagement. Once again, I'm coming back to the same thing. This is time well invested. Please don't look at it as a bother or a headache, or oh no, I have to do this. This helps definitely in your bonding, and it's going to strengthen the learning of your child. So you would definitely, if you knew that, you would definitely want to spend that quality time with your child, till of course they are a little bit older, and then they can manage things on their own.
Now when we talk about a small kid, I always love to watch them, the way they do their work, anything which is given. But that span of attention is just for a few seconds or few minutes, and they just immediately get distracted from what they were told to do, even though if it is a very activity which they love to do it. So when we're talking about the classes which are happening and they have to sit in front of the screen and the teacher is talking and there are students in front of the screen, there are many in the different place. There are some students possible that they get deviated, they get distracted. So what is the, I would ask you, like what can be the possible measures to a teacher who are teaching online, or the parents who are sitting at home, to make it a point that the students are actually glued onto the screen and listening to the teacher with rapt attention and with full focus? I'm sure the teachers, your colleagues must have come to you with such different experiences.
Yes.
The children are sitting and dancing in the different rooms in different houses.
Yeah. Yes, what I think is tough one to begin with.
Yeah.
The lessons, how they've been designed is, not to have it at a very, it's been given to them in small capsules, to begin with, because we know their attention span is just that much.
True.
I think, as I've said before, we need to get them a little bit more excited. I mean, if they were watching a cartoon or a movie, hours would just pass by.
That's right.
Isn't it? And we have to tell them to stop. So creating that excitement that this is school. Okay, it's going to start at whatever time, 9 o'clock or 1 o'clock. This is school, and this is where you're going to meet your teacher and things like that. And teachers also have a lot of strategies up their sleeve, and they've been doing small little things for warm up, which parents also can practice. Put your hands up, put your hands down, do a little wiggle here and then, after sometimes sing a line or two.
Right.
So it's something that's evolving. And as I told you, children pick up vibes very easily.
Very easily.
A parent at home, himself or herself, needs to give that message to children that we mean business over here.
Yeah.
And if you're going to be distracted with a phone call, or there's TV happening in some other room, or the child will get the message that this is not important. I can be distracted, or So having that flexible kind of a schedule, it really helps, because you've had the pent up energy release doing some activity, and children are involved in household work and many things, and now they know this is the time for them to study. Okay, so I think it will evolve, it will get better, because we started with a self-paced program first,
Right.
Where you could, check out the videos whenever you wanted. There was no particular time. I quite liked that initially,
Yeah.
because just to give them the taste of it. And then it has moved on to, having classes, keeping in mind their attention span, not for too very long. So, and then of course we need to graduate and we need to move on to more. If this is here to stay, then we need to improve our system.
It's true, and in order to make them glued to the system or the classes, I think parents and teachers need to be good actors. Because we attract them by our acting skills, by our teaching skills, so that they don't even think of getting up. So, like as you said, the best example, when cartoons are going on some favorite
Yeah.
their kid channel, they won't get up from that place and go ahead with that. There's one question from Mrs. Shobha Nair, ma'am. What is the primary benefit of using learning models like game-based, mobile-based learning in small children?
Technology is here to stay, and I think by the time these children are, they adults, I really don't think there'll be anything manual for anybody to do, So learning in a fun way through games, why not? What's wrong with learning with fun and enjoying? There was a parent who once told me that my child is having a great time watching the videos that you all have made, and she's just enjoying herself. So I asked him, I said, so what's the problem?
Yeah.
That's great, if he's having a great time, watching the videos and enjoying. It's learning happening with fun. So that's the way forward, technology. So that would definitely benefit our children, giving them a footing right from the beginning.
Very true. We have next caller on air, that is Mridula. So let's see what is the question she is asking for you.
I'm Mridula. My son Prajnesh Srijit has joined the LKG section this year in Indian school. It's quite unfortunate that our kids are unable to attend their regular classes at school due to the present COVID crisis. As you know, we are all stepping on to the new normal. So I would like to raise a question to Ma'am Pamela. Is it necessary to teach our kids how to log into the online classes and let them attend the classes by themselves, or else it should be under the guidance of the parents only? Thank you for your time.
Yeah. Miss Mridula, thank you for that question. And I think we're talking about 4-year-olds over here. So definitely, as much as we would want to have our children be independent, I think at this point in time, parent needs to be there and have full control. It needs to be monitored by the parent of what the child is doing online. So logging in and things like that, I think for some years it would have to be done by you. But what I understand from you is you seem to be very enthusiastic for your child to be more independent. So having said that, once your child is online and attending the sessions, don't take a step back. Teach your child is between the teacher and the taught. I'm not part of your class. So, give your child that independence to interact with the teacher. And as you said, let them make mistakes. There's no need to prompt them and, every time have the right answer.
That's true. So ma'am, same the questions which are coming up from Mrs. Lekha here, that what she's asking that makes a very important thing, talking about the atmosphere at home. So before we move on with the question, I think we are ready for a break and we'll meet in a short while from now. posting questions.
One more session.
Once again, good evening and welcome back. This is Radio Run presentation, Unigrade Education Center, away from campus. Tiny tots and the challenges of online society. I don't feel like telling challenges, yeah, it's opportunities. And before we proceed with the question where I left it half, I would request the viewers, the audience who are listening and observing us, that whatever questions you have, please keep it in posting on the live page, and in case if it is not replied or answered today, your answers will be responded very sure. So ma'am, the question which came up from Lekha,
Yeah.
and what we all feel, when a small kid or children are at home, whatever may be the issue between the elder people at home, the parents or grandparents or siblings, that should not be actually given a kind of light to the child. It may mentally affect the person, the small kid. So what is she asking exactly, like what are the suggestions regarding the home atmosphere?
Thank you, Lekha. That was a very thought-provoking question. Yeah, I think it's a different scenario for everybody. Now the school has come home, so there needs to be some kind of, as we said, flexible schedule. And may I use the word here, discipline now? Prajisha, I'm sure you like that word.
Very much.
Being the discipline coordinator. Some kind of discipline, of how the day would progress, If we are still in that mode of getting up at 10 o'clock and sleeping late in the night, and definitely the child is not going to sit. Definitely is going to be sleepy, and, it's not going to go in the way that we want it to go. There was some kind of discipline when children came to a physical school of getting up early and, attending the class, going back. There was a schedule. So that needs to be, we need to create a learning ambience at home,
Right.
or probably at least in that room where the online learning is happening, so that it's for the benefit of the child and to optimize learning.
We'll take up a caller, ma'am, online. She's Deepthi.
I have a son who is currently in grade 1 in a British curriculum school. So my question for Madam Pamela is, how do you keep a hyperactive child, especially boys, stay seated and focused during an online session? They tend to get quite fidgety, after a certain period of time, say about 10-15 minutes max. Any tips would be very valuable. Thank you.
Wonderful question.
Yeah. Ms. Dipti, class 1. One needs to understand it's the biggest transition of all. It's when a child moves from kindergarten to kind of formal education. So, children have different ways of adjusting to this. Some adjust very easily. Some adjust with manifestations of various kinds, like the one that you mentioned, because they're moving from a playway, probably some schools have a shorter hours, to a kind of formal education where you have formal subjects and you have Hindi and Arabic and whatnot.
Okay.
So many parents of class 1 normally say, oh, my child just wants to go back to kindergarten, or my child is not happy to come to school, and so I always say congratulations, because your child is absolutely normal. Yeah, so to answer your question, Ms. Dipti, it could be a transition phase. That's what I think. And ask yourself this question. Again, we're coming back to the home setting and the ambience and the learning environment. What's happening at home? Is it an extended summer vacation going on from February, where there's no real, definite schedule of the day? Where the child is getting the message that, he can be fidgety.
Yes.
Yeah, so if just try to organize your home much more easier, and you might have grievances even with what's happening online or the method of it, but don't discuss these things in front of your child. That's what I think. It could be discussed with adults. Create a positive image and project to your child that this is important. Coming to the fidgety part, I think if there is some sense of scheduling, that would automatically settle down. If it has not, if your child is able to sit with 10 minutes, for 10 minutes, just look at it in small intervals. How can we go up to 15 minutes, for example, So if you're there, and be there when you're there, if you're there assisting your child in the online class, and if you give your child the signal that or there's some distraction and TV going on in some other room, those probably would be little distracting factors. So aim for small things. There are a lot of things that you can do to keep your child's interest, and I'm sure teachers also would be doing it, like in between taking breaks. Give your child a time frame of doing things. Try for small intervals, and I think that would work.
Then connecting to this, as Deepti ma'am asked right now, this is fine where parents are there, either mom or dad. One more person is there to monitor. But there are certain houses where the children are left alone because the need of the hour, parents both have to attend the job. Job is that kind of. So in such situation, when online classes start, how do you think that that kind of small kid can manage the online class? As Mridula asked, can we give the permission to go online and log into the device and start their class? This is the kind of question which came into my mind when Deepti was asking this question.
Yeah, I think not advisable according to me, and most parents, what they do is, if, we've tried our level best to keep our classes at a time where probably the parent would be home. But it needs to be monitored by an adult. I don't think we can leave it to the child to do. It needs some kind of monitoring. So if they can't manage, they can, within that time, or if the child is not ready, there can be so many factors. It doesn't not necessarily mean that it has to happen every single day. There could be days when the child is not ready for it, or just not in a mood, where then again go back to the self-paced program, go back to the recording, and then see it in their time.
So when we speak about these students, all kids are not the same. As we say, 5 fingers are not same. There are children who are very hyperactive, there are who are they grasp it very quickly, and some we put those kids into a kind of category or a class like slow learners. But as per the constitution, it's like any child is supposed to be studying in every particular school. So the question which is put forward by Shobha Nair ma'am is the same, that for children who are slow learners, what is the online process, teaching process, where they can have a follow-up? Because normally when we are in physical classroom, follow-up is done on a regular basis. So during this kind of teaching, she is just actually very inquisitive to ask about it.
I think the first few weeks and maybe 1 or 2 months also might just go by just getting the child used to coming online, and for the teacher to get used to the system. I think that teething period will be there. And maybe the teacher may not be able to actually assess the level of the child. Even if there is a small test or quiz given, one may not be able to accurately assess. But after a passage of time, I think classes might increase, you have longer duration and you have more frequency, so there's more interaction between the teacher and the taught. I think at that point in time, the teacher would be able to assess the level of the child. That would be the first step. And of course this is fluid, people move from one level to the other. But if there's a consistent observation that help is needed, I think we need to look at things like remedial and extra support, even if it's done online or offline, for the children. And children surprise us sometimes. Maybe the child might just do well in the online setup.
Exactly.
You never know.
True.
But I think we can work on something where we can have an extended learning for the high achievers and something for the low achievers as well.
So dear viewers, let me again remind you, if you have any questions, please keep posting it on this particular page. If it's not answered right now in this session, it will be surely answered. And this is Unigrade Education Center, away from the campus, where we are talking about today, that is tiny tots and the challenges, no, opportunities of online teaching. So we'll have a caller, that is Hasina online, ready with the question.
Hello, good evening. I am Hasina, working as a teacher in the Indian School Rifa campus. My question to Pamela ma'am is, as we all know, a primary school teacher faces the maximum challenges for online teaching. So ma'am, how to keep the student, parent and the teacher herself motivated all the while? Thank you.
Thank you for that question, Hasina. And may I take the liberty of saying that all of you are so self-motivated and I don't know what more motivation you need. And if only, you already know this, teachers, that you touch the future and whatever you do impacts a child tomorrow. That in itself is a great motivation for you to take up new things. And yes, time and time again, feedback from the parents, of telling you how good you are and how well you are doing things, that will motivate you, I'm sure. And to motivate parents, again, that cooperation between parents, teachers, that helps a lot. And for a parent to have this opportunity of being engaged in their child's learning in the safety of their home and literally have all the fingers in the pie, I think that itself is a big motivation to parents. I think they probably think that we are not the professionals, normally this was done by teachers, and there shouldn't be anything like that. So that itself is motivating for parents if they know that if they invest this time in the life of their child, it would impact their child's life forever. And teachers, if you're motivated, as you always are, and parents, if you're motivated, I don't think there'll be any problem with the child being motivated. So it's what we as adults think and the kind of vibes we pass on to our child, that's going to help our child to be motivated. And I think the teachers are planning and having many things up their sleeve to motivate the child online.
Great.
So once they have the appreciation of their teachers, and likewise teachers need appreciation from their superiors, which I think I'm going to be more and more generous with, because what you guys do and the way you've adapted to, I think hats off and 110 points to you.
I think the teachers of Rifa campus are listening to this beautiful compliment given by the head of the institution. Very true, ma'am, because we the teachers from Isa Town campus, when we eagerly, personally talking about me, I eagerly wait for a kind of function which is conducted in the Rifa campus, whether it is sports or especially the annual day function or the academic award. More than the students, it's the teachers. First of all, the way they beautifully dress up and come, and the kind of colorful attire and the ambience which they decorate and keep it. I mean, any child who doesn't want even to come to the school or that particular function will be definitely driven to that particular force. It's so beautifully done, the way, and sports day, you must have seen children more than them, the teachers are up front and they are dancing, and that is actually taking the children to follow that, like a piper,
Absolutely.
People
The
are doing it.
enthusiasm is so high that it's extremely difficult to bottle up and
That's
keep
true.
it up, keep being the vibrant team, and all those lovely things that you do. God bless you and your families forever.
I'm sure all the teachers of Rifa campus may be now on cloud 9. So I'm connecting with this, I've always known that music is your passion, as already you mentioned it. So what we want to know is that how can a music, or how have you tried to integrate or bring or include this music into this teaching concept?
Yeah, that's my favorite topic.
Right.
And I interact very closely with our music teachers. It's such a joy always. So 2 things we've done which we thought would help our children, because children at this age learn very well through music, be it
True.
dancing or singing. Even they learn a lot of facts through through singing. So one thing we have done is we've had our curriculum revamped, and we've had a kind of a themed curriculum. Not necessarily we have subjects so that it's convenient for us to have a timetable, but the child learns from an umbrella. So if you're having a theme like, let's say, my family, so children would be learning my family through EVS. There would be some mention of it in English, probably through a composition or a lesson chosen, on my family. And likewise, we linked it to music as well. So they should be having a song, to do with family and things like that. So the learning is complete. Another project, what we took, it's a huge task, and now it's become a highlight of our calendar, and it's the Little Performers, the Kiddies Fiesta. Okay. And that's something that happens every year, and it's a performing art project where every student participates. As I told you, you can have 2 left feet, like boys, some of them, but they all take part in a production. I don't think very many schools can boast of it, of having close to 5,000 children all on stage, and we have it very close to our Children's Day. So that it's a Children's for Children program. So here's where the music is integrated, and every class comes up with their performance. So it's such a joy to see, and as with every passing year, the standard gets better and the costumes get better. And it's from here, Prajisha, for your knowledge, that we shortlist the program for the annual day.
Okay.
And that's how we already have a preview of, how it would look like. And then we try to have a theme, like probably India, or, tribute to Bahrain or Disney, things like that.
I'm sure each and everybody connected with Indian school, the parent, the teacher and the student, they're missing all these beautiful things.
The parents always wanted to attend it,
True.
We couldn't manage that because it's an in-house program. So we were working on that, of how to invite the parents. So whenever, inshallah, as they say in this part of the world, we put all this pandemic behind us, and we definitely want to have parents watch their children with their cameras and all in school.
And no wonder, because this RIFA campus is doing so beautiful and creative thing, children are very eager, students are very eager to come. Same way we have the next very cute caller online with a very cute question. Let's watch it.
Hello teacher, I am Elan. When can I come to school?
That's
it. Elan, that's all I can say to you. Believe me, your teachers and I, we are waiting even more than you for you to come back to school. But beta, you must understand that your safety is the most important thing for your parents and for us. So that's the reason you're at home, safe with your parents, and you're watching your teacher online. But as soon as things are safe for you, we will call a few of you and a few friends to school every day, and we're waiting for that day when that will happen. Just bear with us for some time more. Meanwhile, promise to be a good boy, listen to your mom and dad, when the online lessons are going on, and do your best and help your mom and dad at home.
No wonder. I mean, I just went back to my school days when we were very, very small chintus like, and there were many scenes, definitely not everybody, but it's like crying and parents dragging to school, or rubbing the nose with one hand. But if the teacher, if the head of the institution is so sweet, I can imagine what about the teachers in that particular school and how they're handling all these tiny tots. So dear viewers, before we proceed ahead, let's take a short break. Planning against me. Against you? Yeah, see, father framed the question that who molds, who frames a good child? Good student.
See, I have to sit on the fence.
Welcome back, dear viewers. This is Radio Rang presentation, Unigrade Education Center, away from campus, tiny tots and the opportunities of online teaching. And there is one more question which has come up. When we are talking about molding a child, upbringing a particular student in the classroom scenario, the question is, who makes a good student? Is it a loving teacher or is it a disciplined teacher?
Thanks for putting me on the spot. Yeah. So what do we understand by discipline? Are we looking at the old concept where there's someone needs to be extremely strict and, scare the daylights of the child? I think a loving teacher who has discipline ingrained in her and imparts it in a loving way. So the child knows very well, yes, my teacher is very loving, but these are the ways the things need to be done and there's no other way. Because we want to instill discipline in our children. It needs to be done in the right manner.
That means the child should know there is a thin line.
Yes.
Even though my teacher is very loving, very pampering,
Yes.
but beyond that I cannot. That's a beautiful thing. So we have a caller online, Nisha, ready to be asking a question.
Hi, hello ma'am, I am Nisha and my son will be attending school in September in UKG grade for the very first time but through online classes. In such a situation, how can the bond between a student and a teacher will strengthen? Thank you.
Right. Yes, would like to welcome your child to our school, first of all. And, teachers in the physical class, they do a lot of things to, first of all, create the rapport, as we discussed earlier. That's the first thing that they normally do. So these kind of things are moving now from the physical class and replicated in the online class. Whenever you have a class, do log in 5 or 10 minutes earlier. There's something called circle time that we have, where the teacher is interacts with your child, and children are allowed to interact with each other. It's all happening online, but this is one way of bonding between the teacher and the child. Okay, and also we're planning to have in a phased manner increase the number of classes that we have. We have it at a bare minimum optimum level at the moment, but we would like to strengthen it, and with more time there definitely will be more ways for the teacher to interact with the child, and for the teacher to be able to see the child and the child to be able to see the teacher. I think that will help us to bond online.
I think each single parent and teachers, we all are praying for this pandemic situation to get cured, or eradicated as soon as possible. Because looking from the point of view of the children, small kids, especially the tiny tots, the amount of hours what they're putting in, and they are staying inside the house, no outing, no shopping, nothing, they cannot go out. And every time the parent is actually, it's not a mistake of the parents also. We have to take the care of the child. We need to make sure that this child is safe. So in such a case, it's really very, challenging for the parents as well as for the teachers. But let's hope, as you told, a beautiful word, inshallah, everything comes and ends as very soon. We have one more caller online. Is Binny with us?
Hi, good evening. My name is Binny and my child is in LKG of the Indian school. So my question to Madam Pamela is, how do we develop interest in what the child is doing? It becomes very difficult, to actually to maintain the child's interest when there are activities and sessions going online. I would be grateful if you could answer this. Thank you.
Yeah, Ms. Binny, thank you for that question. And when the classes are conducted, there are many things that the teachers do to gain the attention of the children and the interest. Small little wiggle up exercises, make your child actually do it. It's there in the lesson with a purpose, so that it breaks the monotony and children get interested in it. And as when you're sitting with your child, be excited yourself about the lesson. The child is going to pick up all those vibes from you, that you're assisting your child and you're sitting with your child and you yourself are enthusiastic about the whole thing. That itself will create a lot of interest in your child. And yes, if things don't settle, there's nothing to worry. Some children would settle more later than the others. You can be in touch with the teacher as well. If things come from the teacher, if the teacher knows that okay, so and so is not sitting or doesn't seem to be interested, she'll definitely take more care online to ask your child more pointed questions. And of course, as I told you, we're planning more things where the child can be appreciated and motivated online. So that would help your child further to have, interest. And the duration of the classes are very short. It's not more than half an hour at a time. So I think that much time the child should be able to sit. If not, give them these small little things, just take a round, come back and sit down. But have that schedule settled in that yes, there needs to be some discipline in attending the class.
Connecting with this, ma'am, when we speak about discipline, the moment when the online classes started and it started gearing up, there were many kind of different trolls and different videos which came up. Some way or the other, you cannot say discouraging, but making a kind of mimicry out of this online class, and where the parents, especially the mothers, are seen feeding the child in between the online classes. So if we ask from the parents' point of view, the child is not taking anything, no proper breakfast, so how can he sit empty stomach in front of the screen? How long? And it's like the child doesn't get up. So they have their own problems and their own solution. They have the answers for that. How would you actually suggest, what are the possible measures which can be taken by the parent to see to it that the child comes on in front of the screen with everything ready and just to focus for the class?
Yeah, it's all the vibes that we send, Prajisha, to our children, What I think is, if it's no proper scheduling at home and it's one long summer holiday that's just continuing one day after the other, this would be the impact. Whereas if we are getting our children to some kind of mode where there is a time to pray, a time to play, no screen time at all, I would advise that, because they are continuously in front of the screen, either for the class or for their games and things like that. No screen time at all. One needs to have some kind of scheduling, and for that half an hour, 40 minutes, I don't think anybody should be that hungry. That needs to be planned in advance, and so that even the child knows, yes, this needs my full attention, because there'll be a lot of things for me to do. And now that it's here to stay, we all need to know it's going to step up further, So we need to be planned first and pass on those vibes to our little ones that the online class is business happening. It's like being in the class, and it needs to be done with certain reverence for the teacher and the teacher what she's teaching, and the follow-up that needs to happen.
Because this is the problem where many of the parents, the neighbors or maybe the friends and their colleagues, they have spoken about this. Children, they don't eat, they don't want to, and moms are running behind them to feed them, so that at least they are not sitting in front of the class with empty stomach. I mean, that's also a concern if you look from the perspective of a parent. We have a caller online, Shabana Faisal.
Good evening. Myself Shabana Faisal, parent of Rubaid Faisal, studying in grade 1 Indian School, Rifa campus. Today my question is to Madam Pamela, and I would like to know from her what are those additional efforts that the teachers have put in to make the online classes more interesting when compared to the classroom sessions.
Oh, I have lots to talk about that because I think thank you for that question, Ms. Shabana, because teachers, they just had to adapt overnight. They just had to burn the midnight lamp and learn things, practice how they would get online, and how they would conduct the lesson, how they would make a presentation, and practice, have a lot of sessions and practice sessions, and they just did it. So that was the first thing that I think all our teachers, there was no user manual of how you can conduct an online class when the pandemic struck at that point in time. We needed to figure out ourselves how we're going to do it in the best possible way. So what we went ahead was like a stepped approach. The first thing we thought was, to make it interesting, as her question goes. For little ones, it's probably not good for just the teacher to be talking all the time, and it needs to be something that attracts the child's attention. So videos were made, where there was an opportunity to have music in it and colorful pop-ups and things like that. So they would watch it and unknowingly learn their lessons. So that made it more interesting. And then we progressed to the online class, where the teacher is talking, but she has many colorful things to show the child, so that the child's interest can be maintained throughout that half an hour, 40 minutes. And so that the child feels interested in the whole thing. And yes, we definitely don't want to stop there. We want to improve our own procedures and our own strategies, and we'll definitely have now moving up to the next part, where we'll have to have more classes if this is going to continue online for in the best interest of our children. We would be having more classes with more duration, more interaction, in order to maintain the interest of the children.
Ma'am, when we speak about the present scenario, there are so many cases of depression and stress, and I mean the people, youngsters, teenagers, anybody, maybe due to their financial situations or lifestyle or standard of living, or the stress which is coming up from different sources. Now, as you as a person, who is dealing with the subject known as psychology, and I'm 100% sure the way you answered Ilan's question with so many beautiful words, which creates a connectivity. So, seeing the present situation where the students are not allowed to go out, they cannot mingle with their friends, there is nothing called as outing or picnic. Do you think it may create any kind of negative remark on their mind? Any kind of effect or pressure on them, those small tiny thoughts?
Again, I think here, yes, there would be some pressure, because the things that you were used to doing in all these years, suddenly you're not doing it, So the best way to address it is our attitude. If we're going to fight it that, oh, I can't go out, and oh, I can't meet my friends, and it's something we can't do, for your own safety. So to change your attitude and to adapt yourself, okay, so how else can I be happy? I can't go out, so I need to be in the house. How can I be useful? How can I use my energies, channelize my energies in a more positive way? So one needs to, your perspective, you need to work on that. And adjustment is a huge process, you know, even in psychology and even in our day-to-day life. So your mindset of how you're going to adjust, your positive outlook, as I said in the beginning of the session, look at the silver lining. There's a huge cloud, but can we choose? Yes, the cloud is there, we can't ignore it, but can we choose to look at the positives? I think that should be the way ahead.
And one more thing, what's questions which are coming up like in different format, that even though it's a pandemic situation and we know nothing is certain, everything is unpredictable, still there are few parents who are very much concerned with the marks, the results, you know, the outcome, what the child is going to bring. They know that this is a situation the child is not able to focus, or maybe because of this online classes, in spite of all the effort taken by the teachers. So how can you pass on a message to those parents that results are definitely not the final thing? Because we cannot blame them also, the parents also. They want to see to the children that they are coming up in front and they are excelling in their own field.
Yeah, I would like to tell the parents, you know, I mean, probably it's easier said than done. Don't worry. You know, this is something new that we all are in it together. So if the situation has changed, we adapted it and changed our teaching style. Tomorrow maybe the assessment also will change, you know. You cannot expect that the kind of assessments that we were doing in a regular setup, that the same thing is going to apply, and one shoe does not fit all. So, you know, leave it to us. Don't worry. Let's take it one step at a time. Let the learning happen. Let the learning happen and let the learning be embedded in your child. And when it comes to assessment, we will guide you of how we're going to conduct it and what are the means and how flexible it's going to be. And there's nothing for you to worry about and be a Marxist.
Marxist. That's a very beautiful word. I loved it. And ma'am, when you're talking about you know, the students and the tiny tots and everything, tomorrow is our day.
Oh yes.
We cannot forget that. And we have got a right person today in front of me, and I am sure all my teachers, my colleagues who are listening to me, they would be really eagerly waiting, especially the colleagues, the subordinates or the teachers from RIFA campus, just to listen some inspiring and motivational statements from their a person who is an inspiring a model for them, a role model for them. So what is the message, ma'am, on the Teachers' Day occasion for all the teachers who are listening to you?
I think we are extremely fortunate, Prajisha, that we've got this opportunity on the eve of Teachers' Day, a great day in our nation where we commemorate the birth anniversary of our former and late President, you know, Dr. Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan. It's a wonderful opportunity for me because normally we celebrate Teachers' Day with what fervor and there's so much of enthusiasm, but this year we have to do it online. So my message to all the teachers out there is very simple. Happy Teachers' Day. This is your day. And you impact the future. You touch the future. You are responsible for creating all the professions in the world. I mean, who can talk about that? So, you know, be proud of yourself, for you do much more than teach. So, happy Teachers' Day once again, and I want to thank you for all that you do, not only yesterday or the day before, what you do every single day behind the scenes, and all that you did to adapt to the online teaching. It's not gone unnoticed. God bless you and your family abundantly for that. And to the parents as well, I would like to say happy Teachers' Day to you too, because you are your child's first parents, you know, and believe me, the home is the child's first school. So happy Teachers' Day to all of you, and you know, let's kindle the flame and let the learning happen.
Thank you, ma'am. I too take up this opportunity and thank my teachers, my parents, my first teacher, and all the teachers out there, and especially all the students who in one way or the other, they are also a teacher of us, because they teach us many things in the process. So we'd like to conclude this beautiful Radio Rang presentation, Unigrade Education Center away from campus, where we were talking about the tiny tots and their opportunities on online classes. would like to conclude this session by quoting those beautiful lines which we will never forget. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Wishing all the teachers out there a happy Teachers' Day. Be safe, stay home, and let's hope that we all will meet together once again on the same platform of Radio Rang with some other topic and maybe some new speakers. Stay tuned till then. Bye-bye. Good night.